The Chinese water torture cell was popularized by the great Harry Houdini in the early 1900s. The magician is shackled at the ankles and dunked headfirst into a water-filled tank, then must defeat the shackles and escape, or die trying. Dozens of magicians over the decades have performed variations of this trick, some with extra deadly elements such as being bound with chains before taking the plunge. While the trick does require strength and determination, the shackles are not a factor. They are seated into a hinged lid, and the magician's assistant simply slips the pins out of the hinges while the magician is lowered into the tank. This makes escape relatively easy. That is, if you call doing an inverted power stomach crunch underwater while simultaneously fighting drowning and unconsciousness easy. Perhaps even more often duplicated, the act of enclosing an assistant inside a specially built box before sawing her in half has been a grand finale of stage acts for decades. The box is more specially built than let on to the audience. In fact, the complete setup can be bought from commercial magic dealers. The secret was famously revealed by Penn and Teller, who have long made a living drawing the ire of other magicians by giving away secrets just like this one on nationally televised specials. It simply requires the services of a very tall assistant, one who can squeeze herself downward inside the box, which is not as thin as it seems, allowing the saw to never touch her. The trick takes advantage of the fact that people have difficulty judging changes in height when the subject lays down. David Copperfield's famous variation of this trick takes it to another level by doing away with the box in the middle of the act. Presented as a botched escape act, Copperfield would lie face down inside his box while the saw begins to descend. Then the sides of the box would fall away to show a magician struggling to break free, which he of course cannot before being sawed in half in full view of the horrified audience. The two halves are then pushed back together, and the magician steps out whole and untouched. The act is not complicated, but takes professional level timing. When he tucks himself into the box, Copperfield folds his legs underneath his body, while the hidden assistant's legs pop out of the other end. They then must synchronize their struggling movements perfectly, so as to appear to be one person when the box falls away. Once reunited, the assistant withdraws his legs at the same time that Copperfield extracts himself from the box. Perfect timing, showmanship, and the appearance of mortal danger add up to make this illusion queasily convincing. Penn and Teller also had the dishonor, if you side with their fellow magicians, of revealing how an illusionist can appear to catch a bullet in their mouth. This daring act is a great deal simpler and less dangerous than it actually looks. The duo performed the double bullet catch on one special, having an audience member call out numbers to scratch into 2 bullets. They then apparently fired the marked bullets at each other, producing them from between their teeth, and then proceeded to demystify the audience by explaining the simple stunt. The bullets that are marked on stage are dummies which vaporize when fired, much like blanks. Meanwhile, an assistant backstage recreates the markings on actual bullets, passing them to the magicians before the big moment. Some simple sleight of hand and tongue, and the illusion is complete. Magicians like David Blaine approach random passers-by on the street and blow their minds with impossible magic tricks they could not have set up before. Except that they almost always are, and the random passers-by are sometimes assistants who are in on the whole thing. In one of Blaine's most famous tricks, he has someone on a street pick a random card, and then sprays the entire deck in a nearby window. And when they fall away, the chosen card is stuck to the other side of the glass. But the secret behind this trick is fairly simple. After forcing a card for the unknowing volunteer to pick, Blaine has an assistant crouching underneath the window inside, ready to slap a duplicate card up in the window at the exact moment it's obscured by the torrent of cards he throws. Another of Blaine's reality-warping street tricks is the coin bite. In this trick, Blaine asks for a quarter, then promptly bites it in half, before spitting the missing piece back into place and handing the coin back to the shocked volunteer. Blaine's masterful misdirection and a simple prop are all that is required for this illusion. The prop, of course, is a trick coin, one that folds completely in half and that he swiftly switches with the real coin before and after the big bite. While appearing to bite the coin, he simply folds the prop so that half of it is obscured from view. Then it springs back into place as he pretends to spit. Leave it to David Blaine to use simple magic store props to create illusions that leave onlookers questioning the entire notion of reality. Fellow street magician Criss Angel has caught a lot of flack for allegedly using video manipulation and editing techniques in some of his televised illusions. Some, though, appeared genuinely shocking, like the time he walked on the surface of a swimming pool while a crowd looked on. But this is another startling illusion that is far simpler than it seems. Angel used a series of underwater plexiglass pillars, nearly impossible to spot in the water, even by the camera showing that there was nothing underneath him. One wrong step would have spoiled the illusion. But British magician Dynamo apparently didn't take this chance when he performed a similar walk on the River Thames. It's most likely he used a thin plexiglass platform, which a couple of canoes may have bumped up against while he was filming the trick. Angel also makes liberal use of planted accomplices purporting to be random people. In one of his more well-known street tricks, a couple of these random people hold up a large sheet of paper in front of a window. Angel then punches a hole through the paper with his hand from the other side, seemingly passing right through the glass, which is subsequently shown to be whole and unbroken. Not only do the people holding up the paper know what's going to happen, but two assistants are on the other side, helping with a tiny rectangular portion of the window that is detachable. The non-visible assistants simply slip it out of and back into place at the right times, while the visible ones help out by holding the paper extra tightly against the glass. In 1983, millions of people tuned in to see the promise of David Copperfield make the Statue of Liberty disappear. A live audience was seated in front of the statue on a platform between two giant pillars, between which a curtain was drawn. When the curtain was pulled back, the statue was no longer there. Helicopters overhead showed footage of an empty space. Spotlights shone through the emptiness, revealing nothing. Even an on-screen radar showed that the statue was truly no longer there. The curtain was drawn again and pulled back to reveal the iconic statue in all of its glory. Of course, the bulk of this piece relied on TV trickery. The radar was completely fake. The helicopters and spotlights were filming and shining in the wrong place. As for the live audience, the platform upon which they sat simply rotated slowly to the right when the curtain was drawn, the sound of the machinery obscured by blaring music. When the empty space was revealed, the statue was just out of view, obscured behind the left-hand pillar. In one of his magic tricks, David Blaine nearly makes Ricky Gervais pass out by appearing to stick a needle completely through his own arm. He was even shown to perform the same trick on his left hand, going so far as to have the hand x-rayed with a technician present to confirm that yes, it certainly appeared to be sticking right through there. Well, it turns out that the trick here is that there is no trick. Blaine has apparently, in what must have been a years-long and quite painful process, created a fistula, much like piercing holes. Fistulas are scarred-over passages that can be created surgically, through which he can insert any sufficiently long, skinny object and withdraw it without producing any blood. So no illusion here. David Blaine can just stick needles all the way through his hand and forearm, and Mr. Gervais was right to completely lose his mind.